For now it seemed to his pampered soul that the pole star of an earthly cat's desire was frogs. At the humans' dinner time he scorned their expensive fare and sneaked away into the shadows of the garden to wait for Ringtail Pete and the rising of the moon. It rose, and as it peeped above the wall there also rose a cautious signal wail, and Pete's one eye glowed green among the ivy vines. "Hi, Spot!" grinned the owner of the eye, as Ben Omar clawed his way to a perch beside him. "Yer clumb dat wall in a way dat make me proud. Now den, we're off!" They dropped into the outer world. Omar Ben was trembling somewhat, but tried his best to conceal the mortifying fact, and presently he conquered it. After walking for a quarter of a mile along the country road, they approached the outskirts of the town and began to cross it, employing unfrequented paths. They traversed an alley, black and reeking with nightly smells, pausing at last on the verge of a lighted street whence rose the sound of human mirth, bits of vulgar song, and the barking of vagrant dogs. "Shh!" cautioned Ringtail Pete. "You wait till I counts de tree, den make a rush for de alley across de street. See?" "But why?" asked Ben Omar, wondering. Pete sniffed in scorn of the uninitiated. "Well, nemma mind why. You do like I tells yer, or you'll get yer eggercation wid a brick. Now den, 1, 2, tree! Hump it, bo!" They humped it, making the other alley's mouth by a margin slim indeed, followed by human howls and a clattering volley of sticks and stones. "Good gracious!" the Persian gasped, as they streaked through the alley's filth. "What are they?" "Boys," grinned Pete. "De town is gettin' fair congested wid 'em. But 'tain't nuttin', son. It's just a part er de game o' life. Come on." The way was easier now, and they journeyed without alarm. Presently Ringtail turned to his friend with his twisted smile. "You see dat lady sittin' dere on de gate post? Well, dat's me steady. I'll interjuce yer in a minute." The lady in question was a thin, dirty white cat with bold eyes and a brazen bearing, and Omar Ben was doubtful of her caste. "Thank you," he murmured noncommittally, and hurried on, but the meeting was unavoidable, for the lady crossed the street and stood directly in his path. "Hi, Mame," said Pete in cordial greeting. "Shake hands wid me friend, Mr. hell! Shake hands wid Bo." Omar Ben had never seen a lady cat, and his ideal of the sex was something modest and retiring. Miss Mame was not retiring. She greeted her friend's friend without the courtesy of a mister, looked in open admiration at the handsome gentleman, and asked if he were single. The aristocrat murmured a commonplace and edged away. At the slight the lady took umbrage, spat warningly, and showed her claws, till Ringtail Pete averted the trouble by a generous display of tact. "Now, don't get phony, Mame," he remarked in a gentle whisper. "De gent's all right. He's jest young, dat's all, an' I'm goin' to learn him, see? You chase around fer Lizzie, an' if de goil ain't got no odder date, you can meet us here about moondown, an' we'll bring a brace er frogs. So long, Mame. Remember dat I loves yer." With a partly mollified sniff, the lady returned to her gate post, and the two adventurers went on. They came to the evil smelling tannery, and to the frog pond just beyond it, stretching cold and still in the moonlight, and covered with a noxious, slimy scum. It was horribly different from the Persian's usual baths, but once in he forgot its chill in the lust of the hunt. They waded and swam and scrambled along the shore, Ringtail pointing out that frogs were wont to crouch close down to the water's edge in the shadow of some bush or vine. "Dere's one," he whispered. "Now sneak up, son, and grab 'im." Quivering with suppressed excitement, Omar Ben sneaked, but mistook the especial frog to which his friend had reference. Instead he pounced upon a big yellow-throated beast weighing a pound and a half, and known colloquially as a sockdolager or a juggerroom. There followed a scuffling rush, a grunt, a startled yowl, and a swirl of water. Then Ben Omar came up coughing, minus his frog, but plus an overcoat of mud and disappointment. "Great snakes!" yelled Pete. "Ain't yer got no gumption 'tall? If I had known yer wanted to eat a cow, I'd 'a' took you up to de slaughterhouse. Go for de little ones, Bo. You don't gain nothin' by bein' a hog. Take it from me. It's straight." Bo went for the little ones. He had learned his lesson of experience and profited thereby. He made his virgin kill and devoured it, squatting in the muddy pond, while around him rose the voices of the wild things of the night, and never had a morsel tasted sweeter to his pampered tongue. And so the hunt went on, a never to be forgotten hunt, when crawfish nipped their tails, when insects preyed upon their eyes, and they dripped with the sweat of joyful toil. Then, presently, the friends stretched out upon the bank, weary and replete. "Say, Bo," said Ringtail after a restful pause, "what do yer say to a nip?" "A nip?" asked Omar Ben in astonishment. "What kind of a nip?" "Why, catnip, yer bloomin' blatherskite. What do you t'ink I meant? A corner o' the moon? I'm talkin' 'bout just straight catnip. Are you on?" "Yes, certainly," returned the Persian gravely. "I am on." On the homeward bound way they turned into a lane and came to a clump of catnip. True, Ben Omar had tasted the herb before, but dry and in 5-cent packages, which was different from the pure article direct from nature's still and exuding its sharp, intoxicating breath. Pete and Omar fell upon it greedily, rolled upon it, wallowed among the scattered leaves, and chewed until their senses swam in a spirit dance of ecstasy. Then, after a nap, the two reeled homeward down the road, Pete smiling his twisted smile, and Omar Ben Sufi wrapped in the comforting belief that he was singing tunefully. "Say, R.T.," the Persian chuckled happily, "what did you say was the name of your lady friend's other friend?" "Lizzie," answered Ringtail Pete, astounded at the tone of familiarity, "and take it from me, she's white." "In color, do you mean?" "Naw, in disposition. Outside she's kind of striped, but inside de lady's white. An' don't forget it, Bo, she's de owner of 4 good sets of claws." "Thank you," said Omar Ben airily. "I shall endeavor to remember. Come along, R.T." Pete objected somewhat to this pointed abbreviation of his name, but forgave his friend on the grounds that he was drunk, so the two went on and sought their rendezvous. The ladies were waiting, seated expectantly on their gate posts, but descended at Ringtail's call, and the swell gent was formally introduced. Miss Lizzie seemed to like him immensely, and the two progressed so well that Ringtail Pete stretched his single eye to its utmost capacity, cursing softly at his friend's unprecedented cheek. For Omar Ben, thanks to his nip of catnip, so far forgot his strained reserve that Miss Lizzie herself said afterward to her friend in confidence: "I never see such a forward gent since you and me was a couple er half drowned kits." The flirtation, however, was short lived, for suddenly, without an instant's warning, Miss Lizzie, Miss Mame, and Pete himself went clawing up a water pipe to a convenient roof above, while down in the street came floating a shrill, defiant yowl. "Chase yourself, Bo!" called Pete in a voice of fear. "It's Ash Can Sam!" Now, Ash Can Sam had a reputation of his own, as every cat in the neighborhood could testify with sorrow and with tears. He weighed 11 pounds. He kept himself in training, and where others lived for love, or wealth, or art, Ash Can Sam existed for a finish fight alone. At the present speaking he came swaggering around the corner, and paused in astonishment at the sight of a stranger sitting in the middle of the street. The insolence of it! It was past belief. "Oh, please, Mr. Bo," wailed Lizzie, wringing her paws as she perched upon the roof, "do hurry whiles you got the chanst. He'll rip you something terrible. For my sake, dearie, won't you slope?" "No, not upon your life," called Omar Ben gravely. "I do not demean myself by retreating from any cat alive." This statement was fat with brave audacity, but lean in the matter of discretion. So Pete leaned down with one last friendly whisper of appeal. "Why, you chowder headed ass, he'll make yer look like a mothette flannel shirt. Beat it!" But the patrician declined to beat it, and Ash Can Sam edged a little closer, wearing a desolate, wicked leer of joy. He circled slowly around the stranger cat, eyeing Omar Ben's glossy coat and humming a sort of vulgar chant. "Ain't it a shame to claw up mommer's sugar pet and hurt his nose? Not so, but yet. Oh, ain't it a shame?" Omar Ben regarded the bully in calm scorn. "You disreputable beast," he said. Shut up!